Love in the Rain. Chapter 1, A Chance Encounter. The rain began to fall softly, its gentle patter a soothing rhythm against the cobblestone streets of London. It was a typical spring afternoon, with clouds hanging low and a cool breeze whispering through the air. In a small cafe on the corner of Park Street, the atmosphere was warm and inviting. Patrons huddled inside, sipping hot beverages and watching the world outside through misted windows. Amelia sat at her usual table by the window, her fingers wrapped around a steaming cup of tea. She was lost in the pages of her favorite novel, the outside world forgotten for the moment. The rain intensified, and the sound of the doorbell chiming barely registered in her mind. Across the room, a young man entered, shaking droplets from his dark hair. His name was Ethan, a recent transplant to the city, still finding his way in the bustling metropolis. He looked around for a place to sit, his eyes landing on the only empty chair left in the cafe, directly across from Amelia. "Is this seat taken?" he asked, his voice a pleasant baritone that pulled Amelia from her literary world. She glanced up, meeting his eyes. They were a deep blue, like the ocean after a storm. "No, please, go ahead," she replied with a smile, closing her book and setting it aside. Ethan sat down, setting his soaked messenger bag on the floor. "Thanks. Didn't expect the rain to come down so hard." Amelia chuckled. "Welcome to London. The weather here can be quite unpredictable." Ethan nodded, ordering a coffee from the waitress who appeared at his side. "I'm Ethan, by the way," he said, extending a hand. "Amelia," she replied, shaking his hand. "Nice to meet you." They fell into easy conversation, sharing stories about their lives and interests. Amelia learned that Ethan was a photographer, passionate about capturing the beauty of everyday moments. In turn, she shared her love for literature and her dreams of becoming a published author. The hours slipped by unnoticed, the rain continuing to fall outside. As the afternoon turned into evening, the cafe began to empty. Amelia glanced at her watch, surprised at how much time had passed. "I should probably get going," she said, reluctantly gathering her things. "Let me walk you home," Ethan offered. "It's still pouring out there." Amelia hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "All right, thank you." They stepped out into the rain, sharing an umbrella as they made their way through the slick streets. The city lights reflected off the wet pavement, creating a shimmering landscape that felt almost magical. They chatted and laughed, the rain becoming a backdrop to the growing connection between them. At Amelia's doorstep, they paused, reluctant to part ways. "I had a great time today," Ethan said, his eyes warm. "Me too," Amelia replied, her heart fluttering. "Maybe we could do this again sometime?" "I'd like that," Ethan said, a smile spreading across his face. "Good night, Amelia." "Good night, Ethan." As Amelia closed the door behind her, she couldn't help but feel that their chance encounter was the beginning of something special. Chapter 2, The First Date. The rain had ceased by the following morning, leaving the city fresh and glistening under the early sunlight. Amelia couldn't stop thinking about Ethan. She found herself daydreaming about their conversation, replaying his laugh and the way his eyes crinkled when he smiled. It felt surreal, like something out of the romance novels she adored. A few days later, her phone buzzed with a message. It was Ethan, asking if she was free for dinner that weekend. Her heart skipped a beat as she quickly typed out her reply. Saturday arrived, and Amelia found herself standing in front of her wardrobe, debating what to wear. After much deliberation, she settled on a simple yet elegant dress in a deep shade of blue. She added a touch of makeup, just enough to highlight her features, and brushed her hair until it shone. Ethan arrived promptly, looking effortlessly handsome in a crisp shirt and dark jeans. He greeted her with a warm smile and a bouquet of wildflowers. "For you," he said, handing them to her. They're beautiful, thank you, Amelia replied, her cheeks flushing with pleasure. They decided on a cozy Italian restaurant nearby, the kind with candlelit tables and soft music playing in the background. The atmosphere was intimate, perfect for a first date. They ordered wine and pasta, the conversation flowing as easily as it had in the cafe. Ethan spoke about his photography, sharing stories of his travels and the people he had met along the way. He described the way he saw the world through his lens, finding beauty in the mundane and the extraordinary alike. Amelia listened, captivated by his passion and the way his eyes lit up when he spoke. In turn, she shared her own dreams and aspirations, her love for storytelling and the way she found inspiration in the world around her. She spoke of the characters that lived in her mind, waiting to be brought to life on the page. Ethan listened with rapt attention, encouraging her to pursue her dreams. As the evening progressed, they found themselves lingering over dessert, reluctant to part ways. "I feel like I've known you forever," Ethan said, reaching across the table to take her hand. Amelia smiled, her heart swelling with affection. "I know what you mean. This feels right." They walked home slowly, savoring the moments together. The night was cool, the air filled with the scent of rain and blooming flowers. At Amelia's doorstep, they paused, the chemistry between them palpable. "Can I see you again?" Ethan asked, his voice hopeful. "I'd like that," Amelia replied, her heart racing. Ethan leaned in, and their lips met in a soft, tender kiss. It was the kind of kiss that spoke of promises and possibilities, a gentle beginning to something new and wonderful. "Good night, Amelia," Ethan whispered as they pulled apart. "Good night, Ethan," she replied, her smile lighting up the darkness. As she watched him walk away, Amelia knew that their story was just beginning. Chapter 3, Growing Closer. In the weeks that followed, Amelia and Ethan's lives became intertwined. They spent their days exploring the city, discovering hidden gems and sharing their favorite spots. They visited art galleries and bookstores, walked through parks and along the river, and spent hours talking about everything and nothing. Ethan introduced Amelia to his world of photography, taking her to his favorite shooting locations and teaching her the basics of composition and lighting. Amelia, in turn, shared her love of literature, recommending books and reading passages aloud to him. They inspired and supported each other, their connection deepening with every shared experience. One rainy afternoon, they found themselves at the Tate Modern, wandering through the exhibits hand in hand. The rain beat against the windows, creating a soothing backdrop to the art that surrounded them. They paused in front of a large abstract painting, its vibrant colors and bold strokes captivating their attention. "It's beautiful," Amelia said, tilting her head to study the piece. "It is," Ethan agreed. "But it's even more beautiful when I see it with you." Amelia turned to him, her heart swelling with affection. "You're such a romantic," she teased, though her smile betrayed her true feelings. Ethan grinned, pulling her close. "Only for you." As the rain continued to fall outside, they kissed, lost in their own world. Their evenings were often spent at Amelia's apartment, cooking dinner together and sharing stories late into the night. One evening, as they were cleaning up after a delicious homemade meal, Ethan noticed a stack of notebooks on Amelia's desk. "Are these your stories?" he asked, picking one up and flipping through the pages. Amelia blushed, feeling a mix of pride and vulnerability. "Yes, those are my drafts. They're not finished yet, though." Ethan sat down, his eyes scanning the handwritten words. "Can I read them?" Amelia hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "Sure, but be gentle. They're still rough." As Ethan read, Amelia watched nervously, her heart pounding in her chest. After what felt like an eternity, he looked up, his eyes filled with admiration. "Amelia, these are incredible. You have such a gift for storytelling." Her cheeks flushed with pleasure. "Thank you, Ethan. That means a lot coming from you. Ethan set the notebook aside and pulled her into his arms. I believe in you, Amelia. You have something special, and the world needs to see it. With his encouragement, Amelia felt a newfound determination to pursue her dream of becoming a published author. She spent hours writing and revising, her confidence growing with every word. And through it all, Ethan was by her side, her biggest supporter and her greatest love. Chapter 4, Trials and Triumphs. As their relationship blossomed, they faced their share of challenges. Ethan's work often took him away on assignments, sometimes for days or weeks at a time. The distance was difficult, but they found ways to stay connected, through phone calls, video chats, and heartfelt letters. One particularly tough assignment took Ethan to a remote village in Africa, where he was documenting a humanitarian project. The limited communication made the separation even harder, and Amelia found herself missing him more than ever. She poured her feelings into her writing, her stories becoming an outlet for her emotions. During one of their rare phone calls, Ethan's voice crackled through the line. I miss you, Amelia. I can't wait to be back home with you. I miss you too, Ethan. Just stay safe and come back to me, she replied, her voice trembling with emotion. When Ethan finally returned, their reunion was filled with joy and relief. They spent the weekend together, reconnecting and cherishing every moment. Amelia shared her latest manuscript with Ethan, who read it with rapt attention. This is amazing, Amelia, he said, his eyes shining with pride. You have to submit this to a publisher. With Ethan's encouragement, Amelia gathered the courage to send her manuscript to several publishing houses. The waiting period was nerve-wracking, but Ethan's unwavering support kept her spirits high. One rainy evening, as they were curled up on the couch watching a movie, Amelia's phone rang. She answered it, her heart pounding as she listened to the voice on the other end. When she hung up, she turned to Ethan, her eyes wide with disbelief. They want to publish my book, she whispered, her voice filled with awe. Ethan's face lit up with joy. Amelia, that's incredible. I'm so proud of you. They celebrated with a bottle of champagne, toasting to Amelia's success and the future that lay ahead. As they clinked glasses, the rain continued to fall outside, a reminder of the day they had first met. Chapter 5, A New Beginning. The months that followed were a whirlwind of excitement and hard work. Amelia's book was published to rave reviews, and she found herself thrust into the spotlight. She attended book signings and interviews, her confidence growing with each success. Ethan continued to support her, even as his own career flourished. They navigated the demands of their busy lives, finding balance and making time for each other. Their love remained strong, a constant source of strength and comfort. One sunny afternoon, they took a stroll through Hyde Park, enjoying the warmth of the day. As they walked hand in hand, Ethan suddenly stopped, turning to face Amelia. Amelia, there's something I need to ask you, he said, his voice serious yet filled with love. Amelia's heart skipped a beat. What is it, Ethan? Ethan reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. He opened it to reveal a sparkling diamond ring. Amelia, will you marry me? Tears filled Amelia's eyes as she gazed at the man she loved. Yes, Ethan, I will, she replied, her voice trembling with emotion. Ethan slipped the ring onto her finger, and they kissed, their hearts overflowing with happiness. The park around them seemed to disappear, leaving only the two of them, lost in their own world. As they stood there, wrapped in each other's arms, the rain began to fall once again, a gentle reminder of the day their love story had begun. And in that moment, they knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, their love a beacon of light in the rain.